Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The training blade hissed through the arena air, close enough for the students in the first row to hear it cut the silence. Vexther had aimed for a controlled touch to the shoulder, but the human had not moved yet. 3 weeks earlier, Kira Okonkwo had arrived at Telvin Combat Academy carrying one bag and the irritating habit of smiling at everyone who stared at her. Vexther had seen stranger students. Telvin had trained warriors with armor grown into their skin, fighters who sensed electric fields, and species able to shift their weight so violently that ordinary floors had to be reinforced. The academy had endured for more than 12 centuries because it did not guess about danger. Every recruit entered its scanner. Every recruit received a measurable threat rating. The system had never failed. Kira looked like the least complicated subject it had ever received. She was short by academy standards, unarmored, two-armed, and wrapped in plain human skin. No claws, no venom, no visible biological weaponry. The reputation of Earth made the faculty cautious, but the woman herself made that caution feel ridiculous. She learned names quickly, laughed easily, and treated towering predators as if they were neighbors at a market stall. Then she entered the scanning chamber. Vexther watched from behind the observation glass as light passed over her body in narrow bands. The first readings drew quiet interest. Dense bones, efficient muscles, fast neural response. An unusually resilient cardiovascular system. The threat score began to rise. 500 became 1,000. 1,000 became 3. By 4,000, the room had gone quiet. The academy record stood below 5,000. Kira's number crossed it. Then the display erased the score completely. A warning replaced it. The machine could not assign a valid combat value. Its recommendation was simple. Physical engagement was not advised. Professor Kellisk checked the scanner twice. No fault in the array, the xenobiologist said. Vexther folded his upper arms. Then the interpretation is faulty. Kellisk turned toward him. The machine has never refused a threat rating, which is why the practical assessment exists. You intend to spar with her after that warning. I intend to assess a student. Behind the glass, Kira looked up at them and lifted both hands as if asking whether she was free to leave. Vexther had spent 200 cycles teaching fighters how to distinguish fear from caution. He would not allow a machine's uncertainty to become his own. Now in the arena, he completed the first strike. Kira's hand snapped up. The blade stopped. For 1 second, Vexther did not understand what he was seeing. Her fingers were closed around the dull training edge. His arm remained extended. The weapon simply refused to travel farther. The observation tiers exploded with voices. Kira glanced from the blade to him. Was I supposed to avoid that instead? Vexther pulled back. She released immediately. Again, he said. His second attack came faster and from below, a line that had broken the balance of hundreds of students. Her other hand caught it. This time he tried to wrench the weapon away. Nothing happened. Kira tilted her head, studying the hilt. This balance is excellent, is the design Krillian. A few students stopped shouting. The sound in the arena changed from excitement to attention. Vexther tightened all 4 hands around his weapon. He attacked with the full coordination of his species. 2 arms created the opening. The other 2 delivered the real threat. Kira dropped beneath the first pair, guided one strike past her ribs, trapped another near the guard, and stepped inside his reach before he could reset. She was suddenly close enough that his own blade had become awkward. Her dark eyes lifted to his. That sequence was beautiful, she said. I almost followed the wrong arm. Almost. Vexther backed away. He had expected strength from a Deathworld species. Strength could be measured. Speed could be measured. What disturbed him was the absence of hesitation. Kira did not wait to identify a complete technique. She reacted to pressure, balance, direction, and intent, assembling an answer while his attack was still forming. He changed patterns. She changed with him. He used feints. She stopped chasing them. He altered timing. She adjusted after seeing it once. He drove her across the arena with a combination that had won him championship bouts. She gave ground for 3 steps, pivoted, and suddenly he was the one retreating. A Vraxian student near the rail whispered, "She's learning him." The words reached Vexther. He hated that they were correct. Kira began testing his defense with open-handed strikes. Nothing reckless, nothing committed. She touched one line, then another, forcing his lower arms to respond. A low sweep made him shift his stance. Her fingers tapped the center of his chest, directly above his primary heart. Everything stopped. Kira withdrew her hand at once. Was that a point? I may have misunderstood the rules. Vexther stared at the place she had touched. The scanner's raw numbers had already shown what a human arm could do at full commitment. That touch could have been a punishing strike. She had chosen restraint. The thought landed harder than the point itself. Around the arena, students who had spent 3 weeks debating whether the human was dangerous were staring at the same answer Vexther had finally reached. Danger was not the remarkable part. Control was. "Continue," he said. Kira studied his posture. "Are you sure?" "Yes." For 7 more minutes, Vexther used everything he trusted. He tested distance, speed, pressure, rhythm. He forced exchanges that would have exhausted most students. Kira's breathing deepened but never broke. Her movements became cleaner as the minutes passed. She stopped wasting steps. She began anticipating the recovery after his attacks. Vexther finally chose a spinning forearm technique he reserved for opponents who could punish hesitation. The first rotation pulled his mass forward. The second committed all 4 limbs to a converging strike. Kira did not try to stop it. She disappeared beneath his attacking line. A hand locked around his wrist. Her shoulder shifted under his center of balance. One small turn redirected the momentum he had created for himself. His blade struck the floor several meters away. Then the arena ceiling filled Vexther's vision. He was on his back. Kira released him instantly and stepped away. No cheer came from the audience. No one laughed. The head instructor of Telvin Combat Academy had been disarmed and grounded by an exchange student with empty hands. Kira crouched just beyond his reach. Concern, not triumph, tightened her face. "I tried to keep the rotation away from your joints," she said. "Tell me if I got the angle wrong." Vexther flexed each arm. Nothing hurt. His pride was another matter. "I am not injured." Her shoulders loosened. Then she extended a hand. For a moment, Vexther looked at it. He had entered the arena expecting to demonstrate the difference between reputation and mastery. Instead, Kira had spent the entire fight limiting herself for his protection. He accepted her grip and rose. "You passed," he said before she could ask. Relief crossed her face so openly that a nervous sound rippled through the stands. "Good, I really wanted to stay." 6 hours of faculty debate followed. The scanner had not malfunctioned. The practical test had proved that, but the machine had measured only capability. It had no category for a student who possessed dangerous physical advantages and used them with constant restraint. Telvin changed Kira's training conditions. Sparring became voluntary. Durable partners were preferred. Medical staff remained nearby until they had better human data. None of that bothered her. What bothered her was that Vexther stopped using the spinning technique. 3 days after the assessment, she found him alone in a training hall repeating slower combinations. "Instructor." He turned. Kira stayed farther away than she once would have. She had already learned that several species now found her casual closeness uncomfortable. "That final rotation," she said, "would you teach it to me?" Vexther's lower hands went still. "You defeated it." "I survived it because you committed your weight. That does not mean I understand it." "It was designed for 4 arms." "I have noticed I'm missing 2. He stared at her. Kira smiled. "I still want to understand the footwork." He could have refused. Instead, he set his stance. "Watch the rear foot first." They trained for 2 hours. Other students gathered at the edges of the hall. Vexther slowed the technique into pieces. Kira copied what her anatomy allowed, discarded what it did not, and asked questions that forced him to explain movements he had performed automatically for decades. By the end, the private lesson had become a class. 6 months later, Telvin updated its assessment system. The new human protocols still marked Kira as an extreme combat hazard, but the recommendation no longer treated danger as the whole answer. It included control, cooperation, and consent. Kira finished with the highest assessment record in Academy history. That was not what most students remembered. They remembered her staying after sessions to help smaller recruits correct their footing. They remembered Vexther demonstrating Krillian forms while Kira translated the principle into two-armed movement. They remembered that the first human to defeat Telvin's undefeated Instructor had been more worried about his joints than her victory. On the final training day of the cycle, Vexther entered the same arena where his blade had once skidded away from him. Kira was already there with a circle of younger students. She held no weapon. A nervous recruit tried the opening step of the adapted spinning form, lost balance, and froze. Kira caught the student by the forearm before they fell. "Again," she said. From the rail, Vexther watched the recruit reset their feet. This time the motion was clean. Kira released her grip, stepped back, and raised 2 fingers for the next attempt. Around the arena, dozens of students leaned forward at once.